So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Launchpad webinar 101. Just as a quick reminder, as I've already said, please change your Zoom name to include your name, company, and your preferred pronoun. My name is Jasmine Sinchcombe, and I'm one of the navigators of the DigitalHealth.London programme. And I'm joined today by my colleague Ruth Bradbury, their senior navigator, and Charlie, our admin support for the programme, and will be available to answer any questions. And I've also joined by Rachel Bradbury, who is from the company, is the co-founder from the company Bump, who will be here to talk about her experience on the programme. So this webinar is an opportunity for you to hear from, as I've mentioned, one of our alumni companies about their experience on the programme, and to also answer and ask any questions about the application process or the programme offering. DigitalHealth.London's Launchpad programme aims to support digital health companies who are at the early stage of developing a product or service that has high potential for the current challenges facing the NHS and social care today. The programme is for London-based companies that are nearing the launch of their product to the health and social care market. We are especially eager to welcome applications by founders from diverse backgrounds. The DigitalHealth.London Launchpad programme will support companies by providing access to knowledge sharing events that will help them understand the demands the demands of the health and social care market in order to help bring their product or process to the ecosystem. The programme will provide 12 weeks of support consisting of workshops, bespoke one-to-ones, guidance and guidance from DigitalHealth.London's consultants, and advice from key founding and strategic partners to bring rich and diverse experience of expertise across the healthcare innovation. And the goal of this is to help to get companies to launch their product to the market by the end of April 2024. The programme will run from the 15th of January to the 5th of April 2024. So that's just a bit of a brief overview of what the programme is. I'm now going to hand over to Rachel to give a little bit more information about her case study.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you for inviting me to talk about our experience on the Launchpad programme. I think I'm one of the co-founders, as Yasmin said, of a pregnancy app called Bump. And I think to give you an insight into what Bump does and our innovation, I'm going to read from the blog that we wrote just as we launched at the end of the programme on the Digital Health London website. So we are delighted to announce the launch of Bump, a new pregnancy and parenting app, which uses evolving technology to allow users to personalise their journey. Our app saves the NHS money and resources by channeling proven life-saving content interwoven through a fun, interactive interface to help our audience mentally, physically and practically navigate through this exciting time of their life. So, as I said, we were part of the 4th cohort and joined the programme in March 2022, so it feels a long time ago now. And actually, when preparing for this, I realised actually just how much information we were giving as I went through all the past emails and everything else that we were invited to. So firstly, I'd like to thank the programme for your invaluable support, because it really was invaluable in helping us navigate the NHS landscape and helping us to understand the considerations for our innovation and how we were to reach the stakeholders. So each company on the Launchpad programme, we were given a navigator and who was there to support us and be there for guidance, arrange our workshops and one-to-ones. As Yasmin said, there's a lot of one-to-ones and workshops that are on offer. Numerous workshops took place where we all joined as part of our cohort. And I've picked out a few of the workshops that I found really useful for us. Firstly, we had a pitching workshop very early on, which was really useful, very daunting, but very useful. And that was a time to really hone your 60-second elevator pitch. And I say daunting because you did your pitch in front of everybody else on your cohort, as well as the NHS navigators, and then they would feedback to you, and then you do it again with all the feedback taken into account. So it's one of those things that you hate doing at the time, but it was so useful, and it's in a safe environment and everyone's super friendly. So it was a really, really good experience to get feedback from everyone. We were given some reading material just beforehand, so it really helped us to understand the NHS issues at the time and what they were trying to achieve. So for us, being a pregnancy app, it was about how the NHS were trying to reduce their stillbirth rates by 50% by 2025. And also the pressures on the midwifery sector as a whole. There's a crisis in the midwifery sector. And so we could really use those challenges while honing in on our pitch. So that was the first workshop that we did. So that was great. Another one which sprung to mind was the communications workshop. Now, I'm rubbish at social media. I hate social media. So it was really a good way for us to understand which different platforms to use for our product. And we had a one-to-one on that area as well. So our navigator was great at arranging that for us, specifically on Twitter. I hate Twitter. But in terms of how many times we should be tweeting, who we should be tweeting, how we can gain more followers, which people should we be following within the NHS landscape. So that was really good. And then finally, another one I picked out was the regulatory workshop, and specifically how we could become ORCA accredited. So for us, that was really important, having an app to be on the bank of apps that midwives could go in and see has already been accredited with a score, and therefore potentially put that forward to their patients as one that they should perhaps download and use for a source of information. So those three were the ones that I could go on because there were so many workshops, but those three are ones that really sprung to mind, which were really good for us. And I think different companies will have different takes from different workshops. That some may find the IP workshop really useful, while for us, we didn't have any IP, so it wasn't such a big one for us. Secondly was the one-to-ones. I've already mentioned we had lots of one-to-ones, and our navigator, I'm pretty sure she arranged more one-to-ones on top of what was already planned, because she arranged extra one-to-ones with midwives for us, with people in femtech, and like I said, a communications workshop. And it was a great way to really deep dive into any specific issues that your company might have had, and a really bespoke learning experience, how you could navigate your product within the NHS. We were also very lucky. We had a midwife actually on our cohort, and she was very generous with her time, and she took some time out with us to let us know about the challenges she was having in her role, what she would like within an app, what she would really find helpful, how we would perhaps go about creating a group of midwives to test the app. So from that perspective, networking was a really useful element of the whole program. You don't know who you're going to get in your Launchpad program, and who might actually end up, you can help each other out. So we had a WhatsApp group as well within the program, so that was really useful. I think one of the main successes for us was being able to use the DigitalHealth.London name in terms of getting more investment, and we secured more investment while we were actually on the program. And I think being able to use the name and that we were working within the NHS was really helpful in securing that. Secondly, I think for us, because we commercialised the app by talking to brands and pregnancy brands and parenting brands who might want to market their products on our app, being able to use the DigitalHealth.London name when we were actually pitching to these brands was really useful, and really gave us more clout against anyone else, if you like. That was a great success for us. In terms of advice, I'd probably say, as a last thing, write lots of notes. There's so much information that you'll be given by the team. They've got so much advice and support and guidance that they can give you. Take all of that and use their experience, because there's so much information. And it is, for us anyway, it was quite a minefield. I'm not from an NHS background, so to be able to use that and be part of the programme was really, really useful. So thank you, and thank you for inviting me to speak today.
Thanks so much, Rachel. It's fantastic to hear about your experience in the programme, and I remember being on part of your interview panel, and it's fantastic to see how kind of far you and the team have come in the last year or so. I guess I've got one quick question as we kind of move into the Q&A session of our programme. Was there a particular, I mean, you mentioned lots around the content of the programme and kind of what you found beneficial, but do you think did you have a aha moment kind of as part of the programme where things really kind of slotted into place, or was it kind of the programme as a whole?
I don't know if there was a ha-ha moment, but I think the programme as a whole, as we went through the programme and learned much more about the NHS, it sort of all started to fall more into place. So I think it's just as time went on over the 3 months, the 12 weeks, to the point when we were then ready to launch at the end of June. So yeah, I think it was a culmination of sort of support and educating us that, yeah.
And other question, since finishing the programme, what's been your biggest success since leaving that? Obviously, you having launched your products and kind of where you're up to now.
Since finishing, well, we've launched the product. It's been sort of a slow launch, and there's more investment that we're waiting on as well to be able to sort of put more improvements in place. And we want to get the ORCA accreditation, so we need to actually make some amends. So they're really useful in telling you actually you need to do X, Y, Z to then get a better score, and we're in that process at the moment. So I think once we've actually got that score that we want, that will be a great step forward for us, and to be one of those apps that the midwives then can see at the top of the panel to choose. Fantastic.
I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now so that I can see everyone's lovely faces. This session is an opportunity to ask any questions, as I said, either to Rachel or the wider team about content of the programme, experience, and kind of the application process. I guess please feel free to put your questions in the chat or put your hand up. And as we kind of go through, I guess one key question I've got for Ruth, I don't know if you want to give a bit more information about how our programmes are funded, kind of the background of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, as Yasmin introduced me, I'm Ruth. I'm Senior Navigator with DigitalHealth.London. I'm heading up quite a few different programmes. So Launchpad is one of the programmes that I oversee as well. The funding for DigitalHealth.London primarily comes through the London government. So we have been successful in getting funding from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. But what that means is that we have access to funding that really supports the growth and development of businesses in London. So Yasmin mentioned we're seeking businesses who are registered or doing work within London. And also that funding has a very strong focus on founders from diverse backgrounds as well. So founders who identify as being from Black, Asian or minority ethnic groups, founders who are female, and also founders with disability as well. So really, really keen to engage with people who fit into those different areas. The value of the programme, so although we get funding, and whilst there's no charge to companies who come onto our programme, the value of time that you receive from us is equivalent to approximately £3,000, and that funding comes under the remit of minimal financial assistance. Some of you might have been familiar with something called state aid, which was another assistance that was managed by London government in the past. So all of that side of things is under the remit of our programme as well, which if people have got specific questions about that, we can go into a bit more detail. But essentially, there's no charge to any of the companies who we work with. We don't take any equity in your business either, but essentially you're receiving that benefit for free. So yeah, fantastic opportunity. Thanks, Yasmin.
Thanks, Ruth. Right, this is an opportunity for me to open it up to the floor. If anyone has any questions, would you like to put your hand up and come on screen to ask?
Georgios has asked a question in the chat. I don't know if you want to come on screen, Georgios, and ask your question. If not, I can read it out.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, the question is, regarding the requirements to join the program, and I went on the frequently asked questions and saw that companies must be ready to launch their product by April 24. So I'm wondering, what is the readiness level they require by then? Because Rachel was talking about their product, the pregnancy app, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe she mentioned some hurdles along the way with funding, or some small delays that could appear on the way. So we may not be ready to launch by 24. Would that be a problem?
Ruth, do you want to start, or shall I go into this?
Yeah, so we are essentially looking at companies who do have a commitment to launch their product by April next year. And again, a lot of that is tied in around our funding requirements from the UK government. But I think there are different ways of thinking about launching your product. I mean, I think as Rachel outlined as well, she and Bump launched to the NHS in June. There are always sort of developments and iterations to product or to the service after that point. Nothing stands still. So what we like to think about is your product something that you could put in front of an NHS or social care stakeholder, and it would be of interest. It would be viable as an MVP. So not so much worrying about the longer term developments, but really, is it something that can be ready to demonstrate and to get in front of people?
Okay. Well, I'm pleased that the answer will be yes in that case.
Good.
So
That's
thank
fantastic.
you.
So I guess it probably help. Am I echoing?
Little bit.
Okay. I guess it's possibly helpful to add that the definition of a launch is kind of, as Ruth emphasised, is that you are ready to start having those conversations, and that you've got a product that people could start using, and it is a self-declaration, so it's making sure that you're ready to kind of start having those conversations with various people in the market. It might be that you're ready to kind of start a full-on pilot with an organisation as well, to start using and testing your product, but we can work with you to kind of get that definition and what that launch would look like to the social care, health and social care market. Seeing lots of hands going up on screen.
Amazing, thank you.
It's fantastic. Venus, I think you were next. Would you like to come on and ask your question?
Yes.
Sorry, who was the first? Sorry, I got confused. I thought it said Venus.
Sorry, I did. So.
Go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to know the launching products. Does this include when we are at the piloting stage and testing stage, a product within NHS? And also the funding requirements, when I can find more information, and how often the applications, the deadline for the next application.
So I'll start with your last question first. So the deadline for applications for this particular cohort is on the 19th of Sunday, the 19th of November, at 1 minute to midnight. And that is a hard deadline. In terms of funding, so there is no cost to, as Ruth mentioned already, there's no cost to companies to be on the programme. It is funded via UK SPF funding and partially funded via the NHS as well as a programme. And what was your other question around pilots? So is it piloting and launch stage?
Yes, at that stage, would it be eligible to apply? Yes.
So if your product is in an MVP and like a minimal viable product stage, and you're in the process of piloting and testing it, yes, you can certainly apply, as long as there is a product to kind of officially have launched by the end of April. Ruth, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that.
So the next deadline is on the 19th, you said. This is quite short. When would be the next one? Thank you.
So the next cohort will we be looking to probably be in later next year. So kind of probably looking at opening probably springtime in terms of applications for the next cohort.
And I think just to add to Yasmin's point about pilots, we recognise that that companies have pilot projects that are about sort of testing and iteration, and I think that's fine because they're building and supporting that launch. Where you're entering a more formal pilot, if you're still calling it that, that is looking like it's more of a contracted opportunity, I think that might push it past the launch stage. So I think we're really looking at businesses where pilots are still about testing and really ensuring that MVP is ready to go.
Hopefully that answered your question. Ines, I think you're next. Hopefully I've said your name properly. I do apologise if I haven't.
Ines. I have a question, administrative nature. So we are currently in the process of registering the company in the UK, London. So I'm not sure if it's going to be registered by the 19th, where the deadline is. Is there a possibility to still apply or?
Ruth, do you want to take
Yeah, so I think the key thing for us is about that deadline for launch. So that's probably the thing to have in mind. If you've already got the application to register as a UK company in place, and if you are successful for interview and actually we really like your product and it looks like that would be suitable for us to work with you, then I think we can have conversations about, okay, so where are you in terms of the registration stage? If it looks like the registration isn't going to happen before you start the program in January, then I think that's probably not something that we could support. If it's a case of, we anticipate that the registration will all be sorted out, before the program starts in January, then I think we would quite happily, work with you to make that successful.
Super. So then basically just when applying, we should know this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I believe within the application form, there's a place to maybe put that comment in, but you can always, if it's not, or you don't feel that you're able to convey that adequately, if you send us an email as well. So there's an info@ email address, which hopefully Charlie can also post in the chat as well. If you send a supplementary email then to us, then we can make sure we've got that alongside your application form.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. No problem.
I guess it's probably at this stage worth emphasising the eligibility criteria for the programme as well. It is all in the FAQs and on the page, but you need to be, as Ruth mentioned, a UK-based company. So you need to have your company's house number. You need to have either a registered or trading address within London. This is because of the type of funding we've got. It's really about supporting the levelling up kind of initiative within London. You need to be deemed an SME. And you, I think that's all of the main criteria. Ruth, I don't think hopefully I've not forgotten the key ones.
No, they're the key areas. But again, within the application form, it will ask you for the confirmation around those areas.
Perfect. James, you've got your hand up. Over to you. Sorry, I think you're on mute.
It's like lockdown, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. Hiya. I think you answered the question in a different question, but answered my question before, but I just wanted to double check. Are you still happy to consider new products? So where we have existing products and we're ready to get to pilot stage for new products?
Yes, that's fine. This is about supporting, yes, certainly earlier stage companies, but also companies in that really early stage of kind of launching their product. So if you already have established products, but you're looking to kind of launch a second one, that's not a problem at all. I think the key thing is within the application form, just really highlighting what the product is, what it does, why it benefits the NHS or social care needs, and kind of the reasons for wanting to be on the programme.
Perfect, thank you.
And kind of your timelines to launch. There is a section in there to kind of do key timelines.
Okay.
Ruth, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I just going to make a little bit more of one thing you said there around your, what you want to get out of the programme. Because I think if you're quite an established business who has already launched or is already working maybe within healthcare, it may be that you'll get less out of the programme because you know what you need to do. If you're coming from another sector, then absolutely there's probably huge amounts to learn. So it's just kind of bearing that in mind, really. And again, there's a question within the application form around how will the programme support you and your product development.
Okay, thank you. That makes it clearer. I think for us, we are launching completely new range, doing something completely different within the same thing. So hopefully that sort of sounds, yeah, it's new. It's not yeah,
Okay.
the new products in an existing company, but doing something completely different.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see another hand up if you want to come on.
Yes, I had another question I forgot to ask earlier. Rachel mentioned that probably the biggest type of support she received was the ability to use the Digital Health London name with discussions with other partners or whatever, which is great. So I wonder what the support would be in terms of understanding the pathways that our product could fall into. And I'm wondering if part of the application is explaining this, because for us, something we would like to get out of the program is to understand these things a bit better. So I'm wondering what's the balance there of how much we can say that we understand about the pathways, whereas in reality, we would like to know more about them. And we don't want our application to be subpar because we're not knowledgeable about this area. But probably this is the area we would like to receive more help on. I hope my question is clear.
I think so. I'll quickly answer it, and then so within the application form itself, there's obviously a section that asks you to describe why your product is kind of tackling one of the issues or problems that the NHS and social care environment are facing. So as long as you're clear in that about why you think your product is suitable, there is also another section in there that is really clear about the reasons for wanting to go on the programme. Now, it sounds like you've got a product, you think it's going to support health and social care, but you need more support to kind of navigate those pathways. I think being in the application, being really clear about what support you want from the DigitalHealth.London team in those kind of 3 key reasons. That is part of the kind of the marking criteria of getting onto the programme. So the 3 key areas are: does the product kind of support a problem being faced within the NHS and social care? Why you would want to be on the programme, and kind of what benefit you would get from it. And so those kind of key areas. So it's not a problem that you don't know your area. I think it's just being really clear about what you do know and what you don't know.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Rachel, I don't know if you want to add anything around kind of obviously mentioning around what you thought in your application, kind of offering any advice, but if you can remember that far back.
No, I'm trying to remember, but certainly we came not from an NHS background and didn't have any prior knowledge. So I think, as Yasmin was saying, it was being clear about that and what we thought our app could bring to the NHS. But obviously we learned a lot more on the programme about what it could bring to the NHS, but from why we felt it was an important innovation to help with any NHS problems that they're currently facing. But in terms of already knowing about navigating the NHS, we didn't have any prior knowledge at all, so certainly not a prerequisite.
Very helpful, thank you.
Fantastic. Just having a quick look in the chat. I don't think any other key questions have appeared there, but I'll continue to open up to the audience. Has anyone else got any other questions, whether or not it was about Rachel's experience on the programme or about the application process, content? Yeah, Venus, I see your hand up.
Thank you. I just wanted to know how long usually you know the outcome of the application once you submit the application.
So the week following the deadline, the team and our stakeholders will be reviewing and shortlisting. The following week, we will then be inviting people to interview. So we'll give all those that are kind of coming to interview a week's notice of their interview slot. The interview will be about 30-40 minutes just to kind of go through the product in more detail. And then we're hoping to let everybody know the full outcome by, I'm just double checking dates, by the week starting the 11th of December. So because of the amount of interviews, and there's time to also get paperwork and things like that, if you're not successful to interview, you will find out just again checking my calendar off the top of my head, the week beginning, the week at the very latest, the week beginning the 27th of November. So it is quite a quick turnaround time. And as I said, the cohort's due to start on the 15th of January. So we'll have kind of key timelines, workshops and diaries and things like that before the start of the programme, bearing in mind kind of the Christmas period. So
fantastic. And any specific duration for the study? I mean, does it need to be a 2-year program, 1 year? Is there any specific criteria for the project?
No, as long as the product that is that you're working on is due to be launched by the end of April. So yeah, it's kind of a 3-month program with support and workshops along the way. Ruth?
I think there's a question in the chat
Yeah.
from who it's a person labelled MB182.
Would you like to come on?
I'm very much not MB182. That's my computer name.
I guessed it wasn't your real name.
Thank God for that. I think my question is, I haven't seen your website. I'm sure, sorry if I shouldn't know the answer to that. Is there going to be a repository of companies who are developing products to tackle different types of issues in the NHS? And if that company is possibly looking for a test bed service, and if as a service we want to say, yes, we'll use this as a test bed because we think we might have a problem that you're trying to solve, how does that initiative get funded? Is it through the program or is it out of the program?
Should I pick up this?
Yes.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you're asking this question from the position of a company who might apply for our program or somebody who might be interested in working with our companies.
Working with a company.
That's what I was thinking. It sounded a little bit like that. Okay, so probably the best thing to say is that we run a range of different programs supporting innovators, supporting digital health companies. The Launchpad program is supporting companies at quite an early stage, obviously getting them ready to launch. We then run our main accelerator program, which is really thinking about companies who are looking for spread and adoption opportunities. So they're typically a lot further along. They've maybe already started to contract and engage with different organisations. I would direct you to our website, and on our website you'll see our innovation directory. And within there, you can search for different areas. So you might search a particular clinical area or a technology type, and there it will bring up links to companies that we have worked with over the time. So I guess that's the closest thing we have to a repository. It's not an exhaustive list of everything out there in the whole world available. It's really the businesses that we have worked with, and there are also various different case studies that will highlight that work. So Rachel mentioned the blog that she wrote at the end of being on the programme. So again, we tried to showcase and give examples of how people have, how their technologies can work in the real world. So I would suggest have a look at our innovation directory. Yasmin's just posted the link to that in the chat as well. And if you've got any, if anything sort of looks really interesting or relevant to you, please reach out to us, and then we're happy to connect you or link you up or talk to you some more about that type of work. No problem.
Does anybody else have any final questions?
Sorry, can I ask a last question?
Yes, of course.
It's my third one. Is the minimum financial aid the same as state aid and the same as the minimis aid?
It's the equivalent of, yes. So state aid, de minimis state aid was the allowance under ERDF ruling. Our funding is no longer through ERDF. It's through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. So subsidy control and minimal financial assistance is the equivalent of.
Okay. Thank you.
James, I see your hand up.
Sorry, I just needed to unmute again. Hiya, thank you. Just very quickly, just listening to you answering the last question. So we need to be, for us, we need to be very clear whether it's the innovation or acceleration program, really. And is all of that, I know they're at different times, is all of that clear on that link that you just shared?
So the link I just shared is a link to our kind of innovation directory, which is where we kind of have all the different companies and programs highlighted on there. Throughout the website, there is also kind of sections around linking directly to the Launchpad program, and that we'll put the link in the chat that takes you directly to that. So the Launchpad program is about supporting companies that are about to launch a product to market, and then the accelerator program is around supporting companies that are in that spread and adoption phase of their business to kind of with that. We don't currently have applications open for accelerator, but I believe they're due to open later this year for our 8th cohort. So it might be worth having a look on there to see if you think at what stage you might want to be at and kind of what level of support. Ruth, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
No, I think that's probably key. I think, yeah, it's making that decision around, have you got a new product that you want support to launch, as we kind of already talked over, or is it that you're looking for that more spread and adoption and scale up support, which would be through our main accelerator. And again, next round of applications for that will be opening up probably now in the new year.
Okay, I think it could be argued we sit in both.
Yeah, tricky one.
Yeah.
But happy, if you want to reach out, happy to have a separate conversation offline.
Yeah, that'd be appreciated. Thank you. Because we've got one foot in each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't I follow up with you, James? I can get your email off. I'm assuming you signed up through Eventbrite. I can get your email off and I can follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
And just to add, just because you apply for Launchpad doesn't mean you can't apply for Accelerator going forward. We have had, it is not a direct pathway between the two programs, but we have had some companies that have, done the Launchpad program, and then because of the level of the stage they've gone a year or two later, then gone on to the Accelerator program. So it's not a prerequisite to get onto either program, but it doesn't also stop you. So if you're not sure, feel free to apply for both. I think that's probably the other piece of advice.
Cool, thank you.
To give. Okay, do we have any more questions? Because otherwise I will quickly share my screen just so that we've got some final kind of reminders. So hopefully you can see that. So just a couple of reminders. Applications, as we've already said, close at 23:59 on Sunday the 19th of November. Our FAQs, the link's there, and I think Charlie's already put it in the chat. But yes, please do follow us on X, or formerly known as Twitter, and our hashtag is there on the screen. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to kind of reach out to us, and we wish you the best of luck with your application programs. Just before everyone logs off, I just want to say a special thank you to Rachel for coming on and kind of sharing her experience. It's always great to hear kind of from those people, and as I say, it's great to see kind of from your application process all the way now, and how far you've come as kind of a company and as a business. So yeah,
thank you.